everyone, welcome to a new van conversion update. So I think we left off last time having done all the sound deadening. Yeah, so the next thing to do was put in the floor. So we've done the plywood, which I've got plenty of clips for, so now we need to talk about it for quite some time while I show you all the clips of us outside of the driveway, cutting it all up. We basically used the template of the old floor. Is that
right?
That's
right, yeah. But that was in a different number of sections than we wanted the new one to be in.
Yeah, so it wasn't quite as easy as it.
No, and the old one was slightly broken as well, wasn't it? So
yes.
there was a bit of tricky getting it lining up.
Lots of measurements taken, but we still had to do it. Was it the last section? Or was it the first section?
The last one was the one that went wrong. The first two went almost perfectly, but it just needed some adjustments. The last one went very wrong.
The last one we had to recut a couple of times and bring in and place in place and then take it out again. We got there in the end.
Yeah, it's not perfect, but it's good enough. So first of all, we glued down 25mm roofing battens in sort of a rough pattern that roughly matched where we wanted to screw things to from the top half, like where the seats were going to be and where the cupboards were going to be, so that we had a batten underneath that. Then between all of the gaps we filled all that up with 25mm PIR insulation, the solid foam insulation board, and on top of that, that's where we put the plywood, then screwed the plywood down to all of the battens that were glued down. So the floor itself is not screwed to the metal floor, it's screwed to the battens, and the battens are glued to the floor. That should be more than strong enough for what we need. So between the living portion and the garage portion of the floor, we put in this metal bar that's bolted directly to the chassis, and that's going to be for us to then bolt the seat belts to for the back seats. Now when we got it made to length, but it was actually still a couple of millimetres too long, which I think was their mistake, not ours.
Yeah, we checked. Yeah. We did it right.
So we had to cut the end of that off before we could drill it out and bolt it down.
So the floor is actually in 3 sections. We've got a piece of ply going across the back where going to be the garage underneath and our bed over the top, and then 2 pieces down the middle. And then it was a bit tricky, wasn't it? We were sort of lifting it up and measuring it, because I've drawn out on top of the plywood where all the battens are underneath.
Yeah, and that's already proved really handy, not just when we screwed it down, but when we then needed to be measuring up things afterwards. So that's a really good tip, and I would definitely recommend drawing your battens on top of the plywood so you know exactly where they are when you need to know later on.
Yeah, so we know exactly where our kitchen side is going to be, that side. So we did a batten coming up to where the cupboards are going to end, and we've drawn that on top, so now when we come to build that bit, we know exactly where it's got to go.
Yeah. So then after that, we had to run most of the wiring that we needed to go through all the walls. It's not absolutely everything, but it's most of the stuff that we need. That's for the lights, it's for the heater, the water pump, my laptop, Helen's laptop, yeah, the important things. And also the 240 volt electrics. We're not actually going to have a hookup, but we are going to have an inverter, so we will have 3 mains plug sockets that we can use if we really need to, but hopefully we can keep most of our stuff on the 12 volts. Most of the cabling runs either to where we're going to have a switch panel up there, or down to the back here under the garage where the battery and all of the control panel will be for all of the electrics and the solar and everything else. So I also put a switch in the back to be able to lock and unlock the van from the inside from the bed, so that if we get into bed and realise we've forgotten to lock the van, we've got a switch there to be able to lock it and unlock it again.
Because we've done that before. We get all into bed, get all cosy, and then think, oh no, we didn't lock the front doors. And
yeah, after the wiring we started put up the insulation on the walls, and this is just recycled plastic bottles, really soft and fluffy, isn't it? It's,
yeah, it doesn't feel, it feels like
doesn't itch.
No, it feels like a nice cotton jumper.
Yeah. So we've put that in all of the walls.
I'll tell you what it feels like. Pet bedding, like.
Oh yeah, it does feel like that. So we've put that in all of the walls and all of the cavities that we can access, so even stuffing it in the little gaps.
Oh, you've done quite a lot since I was in here stuffing in the
Yeah, there's a tiny little bit of insulation left. I'm not quite sure where to stuff it.
Is that from the last roll?
Yeah, that's from the last roll.
Gosh, you have done a lot. Sorry, I should have come out to help more.
It's okay.
I've been busy.
So there are some places where we've not been able to put it in too much because we need to keep away from things like door catches or just mechanisms for things that are already in the wall. But anywhere that feels safe to put it in, we have done. And over the top of the wool insulation, we've now started covering it over with this foil insulation. So this here is then taped directly using foil tape to the insulation that was also under the floor to give a complete vapour barrier.
Smells of bacon crisp.
I didn't sniff it, didn't feel the need. So this is just for a vapour barrier. It's pretty useless in itself as an insulation layer, but it will hopefully stop any moisture in the air from the inside condensating on the cold outside walls of the van.
Condensating.
Condensing.
So condensing.
Yeah, it is condensing.
Condensing. So that's our update. Don't forget that I'll be adding this to my van conversion playlist, so if you want to catch up, go and I'll probably put it on the screen up here or down here. So do go and check out my other videos, and if you enjoyed watching, please give it a thumbs up, and if you're new here, please hit subscribe and the bell notification, and we'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.